I'd like to welcome you to this forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters. Nice to see you all here today. The League is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization with national, state, and local chapters. And we focus on voters' rights, voters' education, women's rights, civil rights, and citizen participation in government. So we meet here the second Thursday of every month, and we always have programs of local interest. We hope that some of you will come back and join us. Bring your lunch. It's a nice way to get together and learn about the community. Last month we had a new school superintendent, Chris Baldwin, come and speak with us. Next month we're going to have the Macon County Soil and Water Conservation Office come speak on the programs and training they offer to landowners and farmers and the work they're doing with school children. So that should be an interesting program. We hope we'll see you then. Today we're having an election forum for our mayoral candidates. We're very happy to have Sissy Patel and Bob Scott with us. This election is important to everybody in the county. A lot of us don't live in town and don't get to vote in town. I've been suggesting that maybe they could give us county residents half a vote. Or we could have a fundraiser that town residents could sell their votes for $50. Maybe it would bring in some extra revenue. But even those of us who don't get to vote, what happens in the town is extremely important, and Franklin is our town, and we're interested in what you all have to say, and hope that we will be able to speak with you as the time goes on while you're mayor. The way we're going to run it today is we have two questions, and the candidates have received the questions ahead of time so they can plan ahead. And I will read both questions to you, and then I'll repeat them as we go on. And we decided, we were trying to decide who goes first and consider the toss of the coin, but Bob very gallantly said ladies first, so that's how it's going to go. The first question that the candidates will address is, tell us about yourself and your background and qualifications, focusing on aspects most relevant to the office, including what you see as the role of the mayor. And then the second question will be, tell us what you see as the role of town government. Highlight the issues, programs, etc. that are most significant to you, what you'd most like to see accomplished while you are mayor, and how you're qualified to do that. So, to repeat the first question, and then Ms. Patel will speak with us first. They will have 5 minutes for each question. Ed Giggs is our timekeeper right here. And Ed will let you know when you have about a minute left and when you have about 30 seconds left. And you know, we ask you to stick to the time limit so that you each get a fair shot. After they answer the two questions, we will take some questions from the audience, and then we will give them a couple minutes to wrap up before we leave if they have anything they didn't get to say that they would like to say. So, to repeat for you, Sissy, tell us about yourself and your background and qualifications, focusing on the aspects most relevant to the office, including what you see as the role of the mayor.
I was going to talk, before you start talking, I was going to talk, but I was told you better write it down because you don't want to too many details. I am Sissy Patel, and I want to be your mayor. I was born and reared in Franklin. I graduated from Franklin High School, and I received my Bachelor of Science in Education and my Master's degree from Western Carolina University. I taught school in Charlotte and Robbinsville, North Carolina, eventually coming back to Franklin. I'm married to Pat Patilla, who was also in education. While in Robbinsville, we both taught and coached. Pat was offered the head football coaching position here, allowing us to return to our hometown. We have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Our sons and family live in Franklin, the town of Franklin. Our daughter and her family live in South Carolina. Both my husband and I worked in public education for 34 years. After retiring, I was asked to run for the town board, and I am completing my 2nd term. When the opportunity arose for me to give back to my community, I threw my hat in the ring. While serving on the town board, I have been actively involved in the following projects. I organized the Together We Can campaign to clean up town with the local organizations and citizens joining together for a full day of work. I carried fundraising for Franklin Main Street's Programs Master Plan. I worked with legislators in procuring monies for streets and sidewalks, such as Maple Street. I was influential in design and placement of the new gateway and wayfinding signage. I worked with our citizens on local, state, and neighborhood issues that directly affected them. I have worked with the North Carolina Department of Transportation and Duke Energy on projects from beautifications to streetlights. I was instrumental in securing a STEP grant for our town, the Small Town Economic Prosperity Grant. I was involved in economic development, including working with the county to save Whitley Products, which is now Franklin Tubular Products. My community involvement consists of the following. I'm a past member of the Board of Trustees of Franklin United Methodist Church. I'm a past member of the Building Committee and Parsons Chair of First United Methodist Church. I'm the past board member of the Board of Trustees for Angel Medical Center. I'm the past board member I'm the present board member on Region 8 Partnership for Children. I'm the present board member for the Franklin Main Street program. I'm a present board member of the Community Care Clinic, and I'm a present board member of Angel Medical Center Foundation. Now, enough about Sissy. Why do I want to be your mayor? As I have mentioned before, I have both children and grandchildren living in the town of Franklin, so I have a vested interest here. As a 3rd-generation resident of the town, I understand the importance of remembering our past and embracing our future. If we don't know where we have been, we will not know where we're going. I also believe the mayor creates the atmosphere for the town. Having served on the board for 8 years, I know the importance of people working together. Because the mayor is a figurehead and only votes in a time, it is most important that the mayor has a positive working relationship with the Board of Aldermen. If that does not happen, the mayor will be unable to get any initiatives through. As I have said, collaboration is the key.
Check in here. I've got stopwatch. No, it's aggravating you. Okay, I just want you to know, I think everybody knows who I am. I'm Bob Scott, and I want you to know I'm committed to embracing diversity, open government, and progressive and participative leadership where no one feels intimidated by speaking out or offering ideas we've not tried in the town before. I've been here for 46 years, and I've had many opportunities to leave, but I chose to stay because I really care for Franklin and Macon County. I married Nancy Sala. Boy, it's the best day's work I ever did. And her family roots go back to Macon County to the early 1800s. Nancy taught school here for 30 years, and she served on the Franklin Town Board for 11 years. And along with Merle Tryman, she started many of the beautification projects in Franklin. So if you vote for me, you'll solve the world. He and his wife live in Columbia, South Carolina, and they have 2 children. Joanna lives in London with her husband, Federico. She is taught in Germany, the Czech Republic, and Japan. I do not believe leaders are born. I believe they're made. I graduated from the Army National Guard's Officer Candidate School in 1965, where they tried every way they could to make you quit. I served in the National Guard and Army Reserve, attaining the rank of captain. I received a fellowship to attend the Center for Creative Leadership Development Program, and I completed the Leadership Challenge at the FBI's National Academy. I am also a graduate of the Federal Emergency Management's Career Development course. I've completed many anti-terrorism courses, and I've taught those courses. I hold the North Line of Training and Standards Commission's Advanced Training Certificate for Law Enforcement Officers. I learned years ago that the best trait of a leader is that sometimes it's best to get out of the way and let those you're leading develop their own ideas, and you're there to help them develop those ideas. As mayor, my job is not to be a manager, but to make sure the town employees have the tools they need to do the job, and that I'm there to support them in doing that. Leadership and management must go hand in hand, although they're not the same thing. The town manager's job is to plan, organize, coordinate, and carry out the policies set by the mayor and board. The mayor's job is not to tell the town employees what and how to do their jobs. The mayor's job is to inspire and motivate. I want Franklin, with the help of its residents, business owners, and town employees, to develop a strategic plan for the next 5 years. Leaders are not judged by being able to find consensus in all issues. They're defined by how well they get things done, and this comes about by sometimes having to go against the popular position. A leader looks out for the rights of minorities affected by an issue as well as the majority. The leader must weigh all sides of an issue or a decision. Sometimes leaders find themselves having to take unpopular stands. That's just part of being a leader. I've been the lone vote against several issues that face the town. I voted against the $1.25 million ABC store. I voted against the motion to censure the mayor for apologizing to Cherokee for the killing of grass on the Classy Mountain. And I voted to allow banners across Main Street, which are now banned. Oh my goodness. I do not believe in group thinking, whereby a group of people in which the desire for harmony or conformity in the group results in an incorrect and deviant decision-making outcome. I propose to have the town of Franklin post all town job openings, propose a formal procedure to advertise vacancies on town boards, authorities, and commissions, so anybody in the town could have an equal shot. Wow. My stopwatch says I had 2 more minutes. Pardon?
Well, why don't you take 1 more minute, Bob?
Well, no, it wouldn't be fair to Mr. Coach.
Okay.
If you'll give her 1 more minute, but,
Did you get to finish yours?
It's going back.
Okay, all right, well, let's stop it for now. But what we'll do on the second question is, would you add the stopwatch so that it would be more? Okay, let's get in the stopwatch, and we'll up your 5 minutes to 6 minutes.
I don't want to call.
No, I don't want to get cut off at that time. So we will up your 5 minutes to 6 minutes, which will allow you more time to finish your story.
Yeah, I have to start.
So, I hate to not be able to finish. And I am just going to reiterate the second question, and then we will have some time at the end so that you can finish. I'm sorry that it's pushing me. The second question is, tell us what you see as the role of town government. Highlight the issues, programs, etc. that are most significant to you. What you'd most like to see accomplished while you're mayor, and how you're qualified to do that. So, see if you can come first, and you get 6 minutes for your 5 minutes.
This means 30 seconds.
a little something, and oh gosh, I just left a whole section out. Okay, you need to read the question. Do you want me to read the question?
No, you don't.
Okay. This is the role of town government and how we see it, what our issues are, our initiatives that we would like to address. The town government is an engine that pulls the train. I would like to discuss 3 initiatives that have a major impact on the economics and well-being of our town. Number 1, the Main Street program. Number 2, streets and sidewalks. And number 3, sewer and water. Number 1, the town of Franklin re-entered the state Main Street program in 2007. We have one of the largest districts in the state, as we wanted all of our business districts included. This program has opened many doors for us. Once accepted into the program, our first project was raising monies for the master plan. The master plan is a document that guides us in revitalization of the Main Street district. This was a major project with all of the community helping. After the master plan was done, it was much easier for us to apply for grants. Fortunately, we received the STEP grant from the Rural Center. With this funding, we have been able to complete phase 1. In that phase 1, we had the marking and analysis, clearing the river for small boats and kayaks, the wayfinding and gateway signage, our hanging baskets, nationally recognized speakers for workshops, and most recently, the red carpet events. These events welcome and promote new businesses in the district. Number 2, the streets and sidewalks. All of our streets have been ranked according to repair needs, some how busy they are and where they are located. Some of our least traveled streets are our most needed. Annually, we receive around $120,000 from the Governor's Mobility Fund, formerly known as the POW bill. This money is for streets and sidewalks. Presently, we have begun paving West Main, Perry Street, and Dearman Street. With this system in place, we hope to make significant improvements to the town streets and our sidewalks. Number 3, our sewer and water. We have just completed some renovations to our sewer plant. New lines were put into place and we bored under Lake Emery to create a holding area for wastewater. This holding area enables us to control the flow of wastewater, allowing an even distribution into the treatment plant. We can process around 1.6 million gallons of wastewater per day, and our currently daily average is about 850,000 gallons. Our water system, we own the water, and we have done 2 studies have been done. One for the population and one for land use. And the results of these 2 studies were the same, which we were looking for. We're looking at all options to see what would be best for the community long term. Right now, the state allocates Franklin 3 million gallons per day. But we can only process 2 million gallons. Our daily average is 1.1 million. We have water. Cartagena Creek is our water source. This is not the problem presently. We have 2 problems. Turbidity, which is the silt that's getting into the treatment plant, and an antiquated processing plant. We have 3 holding tanks, East Franklin, Wilkie, and West Franklin. And they are not interconnecting, making it impossible to get water from one tank to the other when we need it. With this new process, the tanks will be interconnected with the treatment plant, creating a continuous flow or water level. As I mentioned, the town government is an engine that pulls the train. A well-run government, we can. What would I like to see? Number 1, I mentioned in my opening comments that the STEP grant we received allowed us to do a market analysis. This needs to be revisited with the stakeholders and a consensus reached as to what we need to do. Number 2, more collaboration with all stakeholders. Number 3, the town and county government working more closely together on mutual projects such as the Whitney Products, which is now Franklin Tubular. And remember, collaboration is the key.
Let me know when to start. Okay. All right. One thing I wanted to mention that is I have proposed that the minutes of the closed meetings be open to the public as soon as the reason for the secrecy has passed. I've been tempered by seeing some things worldwide, such as poverty, starving children, and the struggle for civil rights. I've been in countries where the people were repressed by brutal governments and women treated as second-class citizens. I've argued for women's rights. I worked on grants for Macon County that employed the first female EMTs in the county's emergency medical services. I've served on the REACH Board of Directors for many years, and I'm an active member of the League of Women Voters. I make you a couple of promises that I will try to keep. I will defend civil liberties, ensure that the town government remains open, and that everyone, regardless of race, sex, or social economic class, will have a say-so in town business. As your mayor, I will listen. Everywhere I go, I hear people say, I own a business in Franklin, but I can't vote. And that's true, but that's just the way that it is. But I agree it doesn't sound fair, so I propose that one night a month, we'll have a town hall style meeting where anybody can come in and talk about the business of the town without the 5-minute public comment period we have now for regular board meetings. You may not have a vote, but I will give you a voice. At this time, I think the water and sewer system's being pretty well managed. We do have problems due to the old age of these systems and problems with stormwater runoff. I believe that we should ensure that all new projects outside the city limits in the ETJ also, that we start looking at ways to mitigate the stormwater problem, because we've got a problem there, folks. We definitely need to be looking at a second water source. I think the confluence of the Little Tennessee and the Palisades River would be the right place to go, and if we get that built, we keep the current plant as a backup. No town can ignore water, sewer, streets, police, and fire services. To do so, we're just creating a town that's not attractive to anybody for anything. The role of town government and economic development should be in conjunction with the county, the state, and federal economic development organizations. I served years ago as the county's industrial developer and remember the building of the industrial park and when CR Industries moved in adjacent to the park. We must continue to support new businesses and industry. We've got to take care. I think the biggest problem we've got right now is making sure that our businesses that are in place now remain viable. We've got to do that. We already have significant investment from the United Kingdom in Macon County and Franklin, and I believe that the county's Economic Development Commission is doing a very good job. I served on the committee that attained the Certified Entrepreneurial Community rating from the state, and they're helping some of our new businesses tremendously. Small businesses are filling a niche in Franklin, and they're utilizing the internet. We should try to make it easy for people, especially our young merchants and entrepreneurs, to start new businesses. We need to help these up and coming folks any way we can and not stand in their way. These youngsters are the ones in tune with the shrinking world we live in and we do business in, and we need to be listening to those folks. Other ideas I have for Franklin are development of the Whitmire property. I want to develop it. I'd like to lead us in developing it for multi-use, such as spaces as a place for farmers market, hiking, biking, and interpretive trails, mini parks, and a rustic building for outdoor concerts and events. We have the local talent to bring this to reality. We don't need more experts from outside town to come in and tell us how to do it. We've got it right here. The other thing I believe Franklin, as well as Macon County, should do is to begin thinking globally. With a shrinking world and 3 international airports within a 3-hour drive of Franklin, the time for global initiatives and global tourism has come to Macon County. We just have to capitalize on it. I'll open the doors to town government for these young entrepreneurs that we have in town right now who feel left out of town business. I will take Franklin in a new direction where we will embrace new ideas, and if they don't work, we'll just try it again. We'll try something different. I do not want to hear any more of this. We've never done that before. The one thing I want people to remember about my service when it's over is that I acted fairly to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you both. We'll now take some questions from the audience. A couple requirements. Your questions must be addressed to both candidates. You should refrain from saying anything that would be taken as an attack or criticism of the candidates. It should just be good, straightforward questions that will yield informative answers. So I will, and let's say you can have up to 3 minutes to answer the question. So let's start with you.
How will you foster cooperation amongst all these good groups that we have in Franklin who are working to develop economics and more integration with the county in what the town and county are tied together on? How can you foster that cooperative spirit more?
So you're saying that what your question is, how can the town and county work together?
No, my question is, we've got more than 2, but the 2 I'm familiar with, Venture Local and Main Street Program. It seems like they're working toward 2 different goals, and they should be working toward
all programs. I feel that all programs should be working together, and that the Main Street program is a state recognized program. And I know our Main Street program. We have invited people to come to our meetings and come to join in. And I think still that's going to be one of the big things that we have to do, whether it's Venture Local and Main Street program or whatever it is. Chamber of Commerce, town, county, any group. Collaboration is going to happen. You're going to have to have collaboration with these stakeholders. And everyone's going to have to be willing to sit down at the table. And if that doesn't mean you're going to be bosom buddies, but you've got to work out your differences for the good of the town. I think we're at a crossroads and where we can go one way or the other. And it's going to take all of us doing this. I think the collaboration is going to be the one thing you're going to have to do. And it's not an easy thing. It isn't.
Yeah, thanks. Well, let me say, first off, that I think the biggest problem that we have in Franklin right now are roadblocks for new ideas. If I get in as mayor, I'm going to give you 2 years because I think that's all y'all can take. And then I want to get out of the way. We have some tremendous young ideas floating around out there, and they're not being utilized. Years and years ago, I'll tell you a little bit about my life that some of you may not know, but I worked for the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina Chamber of Commerce. And I was never as glad to see any place in my rearview mirror as I was Myrtle Beach. But years ago, Myrtle Beach, during the winter, was as dead as a cemetery. Somebody got the idea, why don't we invite Canadians down to Myrtle Beach? Myrtle Beach has Canadian American Days, which is one of the largest things that they have in Myrtle Beach. And it came about because there was some new young blood. I think we've gotten to the point sometimes that we sort of ignore young people. And the older I get, the more I find out, the less I know. And we need to be capitalizing on these young folks that have a vast wealth of knowledge. I think right now that we might be wanting to look at some advertising dollars in Europe or into Japan or Korea, because if you ask anybody that's in the outdoor business around here, they'll tell you they get a lot of foreigners in there. One of the biggest groups from other countries is Germany. I checked with people about that. What do we still have not found our niche. The gem mine's about gone. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thanks. I'm getting afraid of you.
Okay.
I have a question about this zoning, which has not been brought up, and I'm a victim of the zoning ordinances, or the lack of zoning ordinances in the town of Franklin. This happened a few years ago, and I had a business right behind the hospital I lived in that house for 6 years, and the town gave me a license to run my business, and the next thing I know, I'm told I'm working out an ordinance, and I lost everything I worked hard for. I went to the Board of Aldermen, they looked at me like soulless creatures, didn't do a thing to help me. The only one that stood up for me was Mr. Scott here, and he was outnumbered. And I want to make sure that it never happens to another individual again what happened to me, because I whistle-blew on this town, and I brought Channel 13 News in, and they covered the story, and I've been persecuted ever since. I was blackballed, I was tased, I was thrown in prison, and before I moved here, I never so much as had a traffic ticket. And this happened because I exposed the lack of government in this town with the zoning ordinances. They haven't revised the zoning ordinance since 1951, and I was a victim of their incompetence, and I'm still being victimized by it. And I want to know, what course of action are you going to take in the future to protect the whistleblowing individual when they expose incompetent government? Thank you.
Best I remember, I believe I talked on it with you. I believe you called me at home and I talked to you for about 2 hours.
And you didn't do a thing to help me.
Well, me alone, I alone cannot do that. Bob alone cannot do that. We're in the process of looking at our ordinances. And that's a long process. We have gone through the unified development, but still, even with that, we have to look at it and they change as time. Every time we have a problem with that, we have to change.
Taxpayers have paid.
Excuse me, you can't, they have to be given their chance to respond and not engage in.
That's okay, that's okay. We're working on that, our ordinances. We really are.
Who's we? Is it the
Oh,
outside work you hire?
The Board of Aldermen. We just did a last board meeting was all on zoning.
Too late for me.
Just a general ground rule of how we conduct the forums at the league. You state your question, and then the candidates are allowed to respond. We can't have a lot of back and forth. It's too difficult for the candidates to respond to that sort of thing, and it's distracting to the other participants.
Yeah, I pretty much have to echo what Mr. Tillis said. Our zoning ordinances are a little like any other document that's drawn up, such as the Constitution. We're constantly changing, and what we do today may not fit 20 years down the road. And so they are changing. We have found some problems with the UDO, the Unified Development Ordinance. And we're making those changes as they come along. Is the ordinance perfect? Lord, no. If it ever gets perfect, we're going to patent that thing and sell it to other towns. But going back to the comment, one thing that I strongly believe in, those of you that know me, you know that I live by the open meetings and the public records law. If I had my way, there'd be almost no secrecy at all in government. I just don't believe in it from my newspaper days. But we do have to do a little rethinking of some of our ordinances. Not that it's bad, but we have to look at it in the context of have the events changed that would require that we redo? Some of the things that I'm hearing out here is that some of the regulations that were written years ago are an impediment to business and to particularly to some of the entrepreneurs. So we need to look at that. It's an ongoing thing.
My name is W.S. Derrick. My question is this. You got people who own businesses on Main Street, and they live in the county and they can't vote. There's a gentleman down on Depot Street who owns 150 yards on both sides of Depot Street, 200 yards to the north and 150 yards to the south. His name is Ray Pendleton. He can't vote. He lives out by the industrial park. That's not right. It's paying about, that property's worth about $3 to $6 million. The man can't vote, and he's really ticked off about it. There is a way to remedy it. You'd have to go to Raleigh to get the thing changed. They do it in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, and all these places, but North Carolina doesn't do it. North Carolina is a little bit backwards on that. You got, this is the truth. You got people that have that kind of money, and they can't vote, but they're paying for your salary, and your salary, and everybody else's salary that's being paid by the city. The county gets, I live in the town. I can vote in the town, I can vote in the county. I got property in the town, I don't have property in the county. And here's where it's all screwed up.
We need you to phrase a question, please.
Well, it's been phrased, and I think everybody got it through. Thank you. Okay, come on.
Let me just throw out something here. I think I mentioned just the problem that Mr. Derrick was talking about. You own business, you can't vote, and as such, you feel left out. That's why I want to give you a voice. Maybe not a vote, but I give you a voice. I am concerned when the county comes to the town asking for money. I live in the town, I pay double the taxes that people who live in the county pay. Do I get all the benefits? I get quite a few of them, but then again, people who live in the county don't pay town taxes, but they can get just about all the benefits. They come in on the streets that we pay, the water systems that we do. If they go into a, down there on the square and get a drink of water off the fountain, who provided that water? We need to work something out. Now, how we're going to do it without violating the Constitution and the one person, one vote, I don't know.
I agree with you, Bob. That's out of our hands now. I mean, this is something that, it is a right. I mean, we would like to see businesses being able to vote. I mean, that's what we do affects them immediately. And we would like to see that, but that's with the Constitution, and so we have no control over that.
Next question. Anybody else got a question? You're being very okay. Did you have a question? Okay.
Yes. It's appropriate that we're here in church. Pastors ask, what is church? It's not mortar and brick. It's the people that comprise the church, or the community. Can you rephrase that and how the town works regarding mortar and brick being zoning approaching things and buildings, where they're placed, how they're placed, and how you plan to develop the people or the community into a town?
I'm not very sure what to do.
What policies would you go after?
For what?
For bringing communities together, to bring businesses together, bring us with the county together. I hear a lot of us versus them, but nothing about, hey, we all live in Macon. You happen to live in Franklin, but we all have the same goals.
Well, that's where I think you have to sit down together and bring entrepreneurs right now. And You've got an older generation, a younger generation, and old ideas and new ideas, and those have to mesh because, we all of us age out, the new ones are coming in, and they have great ideas. So we have to sit down to the table and work out what we need the most. Where do we start? What we need to do. But people, citizens, the town, the county, the businesses, everyone is going to have to be willing to do that. And I think we're at a time that we can do that.
One thing is, I think from the town hall to the White House, we're all struggling in this country right now about where we're going. One of the big problems I'm finding is complacency from the public. We exist for only one reason as a town board, and that's to conduct the public's business, and yet, until recently, you could go a town board meeting and there might be 2, maybe 3 people there, and most of the people, the majority of there, it was the media. If we don't hear, that's the one thing that I would like to do. I would like to go out and corral everybody and drag them into the town hall once a month and let's hear what you got to say. Now, I was one of those people till I got into government. I was pretty good at criticizing what government did. But when you get on the other side of the fence, it's a different picture. If you look at what's happening with municipalities right now, we're losing our power. We're losing our water, we're losing our airports. We've got some strange things going on in the world right now. And we're going to have to get back, like Mr. Toll says, to some collaboration, and we're going to have some give and take. And we haven't got it right now at the national level and to some degree at the state level across the country. I will say this, I don't think relations can be any better between the town and the county than they are right now. We get together, the one thing that I don't like about getting together, we don't have any fights. I want people to pick up the sticks and get with it, and maybe a duel or 2. I mean, we seem to get more back when we had dueling because we always got rid of the opposition one way or the other. And so I would not be objective to once in a while the town choosing one person, the county choosing one person, we meet out on the football field and see who can beat the other up.
Are there any further questions?
I have one question. I'd like to ask these candidates, this year we have 10 alderman candidates and 2 mayor candidates, when we had just the existing seats before. Why? What brought this up? Do you have an idea?
I think we have a lot of young people coming out, and I think a lot of people have asked other people to run. I mean, I think that's, if they've encouraged people to run, which maybe last time, I think it was apathy. Bob can tell us that. I mean, how many did we have vote last time? 500, maybe? No, not the last one. They didn't even have any opposition. There was no opposition, and I think it's good to have that many because you're going to have more interest. But I think people have said, well, why don't you run? That's what I was saying. That people have asked other people to say, well, why don't you run?
I think you're asking the wrong person. There are 3 candidates for the board. Grab them and ask them why they ran. That might be the best way to do it. I think in many respects when you have that much interest, people are wanting something, and I think maybe what they're wanting is change. And the thing that I'm delighted to see is that we do have 10 people doing their civic duty and filing for public office.
What I think we'd like to do now is to give each candidate about 5 minutes to talk to us about whatever they'd like to. You can finish your statements that we cut short, or you can tell us how we should be more involved ourselves, but just take 5 minutes to wrap up and talk about whatever you would like to tell us.
First of all, I would like to thank League of Women Voters for sponsoring this. And I urge everyone to vote. One-stop voting starts October the 17th, and I believe it runs through the 2nd, Saturday the 2nd. and then the regular voting day is November the 5th. But if you don't vote, then voting is a privilege, and you're losing that privilege. So you need to vote, whoever it's for. And if I've said before that together, all of us can build a better tomorrow. And it's going to take all of us building a better tomorrow. Because, and as we both said, collaboration, and we've heard this. But don't just go out the door and forget about that. Once election's over, and when people ask you, and when we start having meetings, whether it's Bob or myself or whomever, then if you have been invited to something for the town or the county, you need to take part.
Let's go back again to what government really is. And government is actually a service. It is to provide for us collectively what we can't do as individuals. And 100 years ago, here in these mountains, you could have done about anything because whatever you did wasn't going to affect anybody because the nearest neighbor was two miles away. One of the things that, going back to serving the country in the Army, one of the things I learned a long time ago about leadership was when you sit down and you've got an idea and you're the leader, the first thing you want to do is look out there across to where the sergeants are, the NCOs, and say, tell me why I'm wrong. Because that's where you're going to get the solution to a problem. And that's what I'd like to do as mayor. I would like for somebody to come in and just tell me why I'm doing is wrong. Don't sit there and simmer. Now we all know that a certain amount of griping is normal. But it worries me when the public stops griping because something's wrong. Either we're doing a super job or we're not doing a very good job. So I would encourage, if I get in as mayor, I would love for you to come in and attack me, criticize me, and just make my life miserable because that's why I'm putting myself up for public office.
If our candidates are able to stay around for a little while, you may get a chance. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question for the audience.
Okay.
I'm just curious, other than those running for a position, how many in this audience are citizens of our town and can vote?
That was my question.
That's very few when you consider the number in Franklin. Perhaps that's a statement of the apathy in Franklin.
I would also, before we break up and I give you a chance to speak with the candidates, I would like to acknowledge that we do have 3 candidates for alderman president, so that you may speak to them also. We have Barbara McCrae, Tom Ritter, and W.H. Derrick. So feel free to speak with them also. I want to thank you all for coming today. And we invite you to come to all future league meetings, second Thursday of every month, and always on topics of local interest. Thank you.